wins this week? Last week.
I got one under contract, and then I've got a listing today for 2 lots. So excited.
Fantastic.
Good deal.
Exactly.
Yes.
I put Watts and Circle under contract over the weekend, so that's a good thing.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
I got Pine the weekend. My for sale by owner over the weekend under contract. A house on the river under contract over the weekend. I've got to list my aunt's house in a couple of weeks, so I got another investment property coming up here in about a week or so.
Oh, well, good.
Busy weekend.
Good weekend.
Yeah. That's total of what? 3 under contract? Is that right?
Yeah. Now the river house won't potentially close. We got it set for March, so.
Oh, well.
That's a long-term deal.
Yeah. Watson Circle, it's set to close in January, so it's.
My Pinecrest came in with no closing cost and waived the home inspection, and I was did a somersault.
Yeah, and COVID all over again, right? So
yeah.
Well, good. So, anybody else have any wins? No? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to get this thing kicked off because it's a busy Monday. I wanted to kind of continue on with the talks around business planning. Is what I'd like to continue on. And I know the first, we went through the sales meeting and I kind of did a overview of all business planning thoughts, ideas, perspectives. But normally at this time, for me anyway, is that I've spent a lot of time on the reflection side of things. And I know I've talked about that in the last, a couple huddles ago or something along those lines. But normally for me this is kind of the nitty gritty part. This is when I start goal setting. This is when I start setting plans around what action items I'm going to take. And I tend to really just get flooded. I get flooded with ideas. I get flooded with, I'm excited for a lot of things. I'm also like, holy crap, I've got a lot to do. I get really, really just flooded. And it's overwhelming in the aspect of, I've got all of this stuff I want to accomplish, and it's like, how in the world I'm going to do that? And so that's kind of what this huddle is about. So, and for me, it's all about how we kind of narrow down what exactly we're going to do, exactly how we're going to goal plan. And so we all have goals we want to accomplish, and we get flooded with ideas. I've got to do this, I've got to do that. But I want you to shift your perspective from all the things to just one thing. And I want to tell kind of a little story on that, which I probably say often, but one of the biggest things and lessons I've learned was I started paying attention to people in books, and I started paying attention to just people that I meet, along the street that I consider to be successful, consider to be wealthy, consider to have a lot of accomplishments. And their story is always the same. Their story of their success is always the same thing. It's they did one thing and they did it very, very well. They built a business around that one thing, and then they decided to do other things, right? It was always one thing that got them to the place that was successful. It was never all of the different things. Their story never goes, well, I got my real estate license. I was cutting grass on the side. I was, I was flipping properties. I had some rentals, and just all of the stuff. It was never that. It's always, I decided to get in toilet paper sales. I became the best toilet paper salesman. I built a business around selling toilet paper. And once I built my business, then I started investing in apartments or the stock market or whatever it is. It's always they did one thing extremely well. And so when I started doing that, it's kind of the backstory for me was I was that guy that did all of the things. I was flipping houses. I had rental properties. I had an Airbnb. I I was dedicating some time to, the brokerage, and I was doing personal production. And I was like, if you've ever seen the guy in the circus, where they're spinning the plates or whatever, I was that guy. I was juggling all kinds of different things. But when I decided to get hyper focused on one thing, that's when things really started to make traction. That's when things really started to excel. And I think you see this over and over and over again through life, right? You see it just out in the world. Olympic athletes they spend years and years and years focused on being the best. That's what makes them the best, right? They don't try to be the best swimmer and the best triathlon athlete or whatever it is, right? They don't try to be the best joust thrower and the best swimmer. They focus on being great at one thing, and they find great success with that, and they do it extremely well. You look at all of the, not even celebrities, but the people that, like Bill Gates gets mentioned all the time. He had one thing and one purpose with Microsoft. His idea was that he was going to put a computer in everybody's home, and he stayed focused on that one thing. And it's not just relatable to business either. Mother Teresa had one goal. She had one mission, one purpose, and she stayed hyper focused on that. Elon Musk, he wants to be he wants to pave the way for electric cars, right? That's what he wants to do. And so the reason they had such high success rate and they changed the world in a lot of different ways is because they understood that they couldn't do it all. They just need to focus on one thing. So I kind of want to switch gears real quick instead of talking just about business planning. How many of us think we're great at multitaskers very quickly? Or say, hey, I multitask a lot. Is anybody on here? No?
I may do it a lot, but
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
I
we
do it
got
a
some
lot.
people. All right, we got some people on here. All right. So this is a quick exercise, right? And I want everybody to just kind of do it in their head or whatever. So I want you to count to 5 as fast as you possibly can. So for me, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Now I want you to go through the first 5 letters of the alphabet as fast as you possibly can. A, B, C, D, E. Right. Or is there F in there too? Is that 5? A, B, C, D, E? Yeah, 5. Yeah. So we can do it very, very quickly. It takes us like half a second, right? Now what I want you to do is go from the number to the letter and do it 1 through 5 in order. So it would be 1A, 2B, 3C, 4D, 5E. Okay? Most of the time it takes you about 3 times as long when you're going back and forth to each item. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or A, B, C, D, E. You can get that done a lot faster than you can if you went back and forth. The demonstration behind that is that's what we do in our business a lot. That's what we do on a day-to-day a lot, is we jump from thing to thing. And there's been so many different studies that you get more accomplished and you're more efficient by doing one thing at a time. Okay. So with all of that being said, our lives and businesses are really no different. Okay. We, when it comes going back to the business planning, right, and all of the action items that we need to do, we feel like we need to do all of these different things. We feel like we need to, let's stay focused on business for a second. We feel like we need to do social media. We feel like we need to do billboards. We feel like we need to do mailers. We feel like we need to cold call. We feel like we need to target expires. We feel like we need to do all of these different things, right? And by the way, we need to do all of our paperwork as well. We need to do it. And not that those things aren't important, but sometimes we get lost from jumping around from thing to thing to thing to thing. When in reality, if you shift your focus on and you just ask yourself the question, what's the one thing that I could do that would make that by doing it, that would make everything else easier or unnecessary, right? Like, what's the one thing? And for me, like, and I go back to like personal production, right? Personal production for me was that when my business started going down and I couldn't figure out exactly what it was like that was happening, it was because I shifted my focus from being excellent at 1, 2, or 3 things, and I tried to do all of the things, right? When I was the most successful on production, the only primary focus I had was having conversations. That's what I focused on. And then I chose how I wanted to have those conversations. If you focus on that, everything else kind of fixes itself, right? When I felt like I was, I was running ragged, trying to figure everything out and do all of this, keep up with life. This year's been pretty busy for me, right? It's I got married. The business is taken off, like personal production's done well. I've done all these different things, and it's just, I started thinking, like, what's the one thing that I could fix all of this with and still kind of take care of myself and not face this burnout. And for me, it was time management. It's like, if I just figure out like how to shift because before I didn't always wake up in the morning, like, and do things early. It was, I tried to shove it in the afternoon when I basically lost control of my day. And when I after time and reflection and figuring it out, it's like, okay, if I just shift that over to the morning, I can get everything else figured out. And so I give these examples because a lot of times you don't necessarily need to do more of things. You just need to get more efficient and better at one or two things. And most of the time it's one. It's really one thing. And I think that it's something that is not looked at enough because we're in this hustle culture, we're in this, multiple streams of income and all the fun stuff. But if you really study the people that have really made it, they've always just been hyper focused on one thing. If you study, if you really look at the people that seem to have it all together, they only do a couple things every day religiously, and it's all circling one idea. So, the thought process here is just what is your priority? What's the one thing that's the most important? And I mentioned the Sunday sit downs in the last sales meeting and the Monday huddle, but it also works for that as well. If you have a 5-year plan of where you want to be, you can narrow it down to, all right, so what do I need to accomplish this year to move the needle to that 5-year goal, right? And then you can focus down, okay, that's the one thing I need to do this year and need to accomplish. What can I do this month to move the needle just a little bit closer? And then you can narrow it down to 1 week, and then you can narrow it down to 1 day. And what do I need to do right now? There's always, like for me in the Sunday sit down, what changed my perspective is kind of this idea. It's that what's the thing I need to get done that would say I win this week? Like today, there's a couple things I need to do today to say I won the day. Right. And by doing that, everything else becomes easier. Everything else almost becomes unnecessary because I got that one thing done. And so when you're business planning, figure out what the one thing is. Figure out what's the one thing that would act as rocket fuel to help you reach your goals. And if you can narrow it down to that one thing, everything else becomes a little easier. So hopefully that's helpful when you're coming from a reflection standpoint to planning the action items around your business. Is just narrow it down. Less is really more. When you really dive in and focus on that, it just becomes so much easier, and you bring clarity on your business. You don't wake up and wonder what you have to do. You don't constantly feel this overwhelming stress of all the different things, right? You can just really get narrowed down on, and as long as you accomplish that one thing that you figured out, everything else kind of works itself out. So that's what I have for this morning. I hope that is helpful. Got a couple reminders. Tomorrow's sales meeting is going to be at lunch, and we're doing the Thanksgiving potluck. We've got the menu out, the general chat. So reminder for that, it's at 11:30. I'll be here at 8:30 if you want to hang out till 11:30, but sales meeting's not at 8:30, it's 11:30, 11:30 to 12:30. Gonna have a roundtable discussion, just have some fun. The other reminder is First Call Coffee is in Montgomery this week. It's this Thursday, 8 to 9:30. Reminder, guys, this is not just for real estate people. This is for anyone that's a business owner, an entrepreneur, or wants to be around people that want to accomplish things, that just like-minded individuals that are passionate about what they do and want to collaborate with others to figure out how we can help everyone. It's been a really, really awesome thing to go to and put on. It's neutral territory. It's just about having conversations. So if you know of anybody, attorneys, HVAC people, volunteers, charities, all walks of life are welcome. But if you find it, please invite people, I guess is what I'm getting at. It's not real estate specific. It's for the community. So I hope you guys will all be there. Again, it's 8 to 9:30 at Hilltop. Everyone should have an invitation for that. And the last thing is that with all of this, the season we're in as far as business planning, I've offered it, and I want to remind you guys that if you do want to get together and you want to spend some time diving into your business plan, I would be more than happy to meet with you. I'm meeting with a couple this week, but I want you to know that we're here to try to move the obstacles out of your way and make it better. So whatever we can do to help, whatever I can do to help, please reach out. We'll make time because I do want to roll into 2025 where everyone has all the tools, all the planning, all the stuff to accomplish whatever goals you set out. So that's all I have this morning. Does anybody else have anything to add real quick? All right. That's it. Well, thanks, guys, for coming on, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
Deal. See you tomorrow.
Hi. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Mhm.